Hey everyone, my guest today is Jasmine Smith. Jasmine is the CEO of Rejuve.ai. Rejuve.ai is an app that aims to decentralize the power over health data. So if you use this app, you might think, oh, well, it's just like a normal health app that gives you insight. They give you your biological age. They give you some recommendations what you can do to improve your health. But the thing is that by contributing your data, for example, through health tracker or through doing surveys, you earn some of their native crypto token. And this crypto token that you earn by providing your data to them, you can use to later buy health services in their app. Also, in your personal data NFT, it is stored what your data is used for. And later, if one company that uses your data is starting to make profits, you get parts of this. Rejuve.ai spun out of SingularityNet, a network founded by Ben Gersel. And we're just going to jump straight in by Jasmine explaining us what SingularityNet is and why she's working there. So now enjoy my conversation with Jasmine Smith. Before you became the CEO of Rejuve.ai, you worked as a community manager at SingularityNet. How did you get into SingularityNet and what have you been doing there?
Yeah, so I actually found out about SingularityNet probably like when they were first getting started. And it was very random how I found out about it. It was just actually a video about the robots that they were kind of using in their marketing campaign at the time, the Sophia and some other ones. And it was like, this is really peculiar and seems like something important event in humanity history to pay attention to. So I just started getting involved and I read the white paper and I was really on board with the mission. And so I started volunteering my time first and then, as a kind of a community admin. And then I got put on more formally as like part-time that and part-time product manager for Rejuve. And then, eventually was leading the entire project through to token sale and product development and whatnot.
Yeah. Can you maybe explain the mission of SingularityNet if you say that this is what got you like in there?
That's a big one, right? So they're all about building decentralized AI and AGI, which is artificial general intelligence. So pretty much, both creating the system which they believe will actually achieve that, which in our camp, we don't really think that the large language model on its own is going to leap beyond its training data and become intelligent. That is probably going to take more like cognitive-esque architecture. So that's number one. And then number two, building in kind of humanitarian and benevolent values into the AGI system, which is the big thing about SingularityNet. And that's why it came to have all these spin-offs, like such as in longevity and computing and even music and, all these different societal pillars so that when, if and when this, being kind of goes live on its own, that it has people as kind of a high value to it. And of course, one of the key ways to do that and avoid, Terminator-like scenarios is to have the AGI actually be working on one of its first missions in life is making our lives longer.
Yeah. So what about this mission got you excited that you wanted to work on this personally?
Because I guess like I always had a viewpoint that, and I kind of still do in a way as to where, there's a lot of advanced technology that's around and a lot of things that are very possible, but that we're not utilizing it for the best in our societies and in our worlds. Like at the level of technological advancement that we're at, our societal kind of good score should be at the same height. So we should no longer have problems like world hunger and like people living in like downtrodden architecture and like climate problems. And like, I think the level of intelligence that's around should already have overcome those things. And so I kind of got a bit downtrodden as to the prospect of, things like AI and biotech and kind of was skewed toward the direction that this is only going to ever be used for evil. And once I saw that there were actual like intelligent people that had positions of influence working on things like this that were not in that direction and that were honestly not about grabbing people's money or, any kind of more self-serving things aside from just credit for their work, that kind of got me excited about it to participate in, perhaps one of the biggest, humanitarian efforts of our time that I'm alive for. So I felt like I was more enthused to do that than I even was on my normal job at the time, which was doing medical coding for a hospital. I was kind of like part of the system kind of a thing. And I was also working from home long before the pandemic. So it just became natural that I was spending more time investing in this ecosystem than I was in that. And then it just led to actually being employed there.
Yeah. So now you're the CEO of Rejuve.ai. can you maybe tell a bit about what Rejuve AI is?
Yes. So Rejuve AI is what we call a decentralized longevity research network. So the whole goal is to build this international research database full of active participants contributing various types of health data and then receiving AI-driven insights and recommendations that are kind of personalized for their own unique situation in life and goals. And then on the back end of that, that data is being used to make better and better AI models, and then also make inferences and hypotheses about aging in general, so that we can learn more, whether it be in a sense of drug discovery or just some novel finding of something that we didn't know before that was uncovered by crunching data with various AI algorithms. And then, of course, people get rewarded for the data contributions directly in our crypto token, RJV. And we also have another token called the data NFT, which kind of tracks their individual kind of profile in the network so that any contribution can be linked to them forever, pretty much, and any proceeds that come from that usage get to be tied to them on that on-chain record. So it kind of is addressing data ownership, gaps in data from analyzing international populations, personalized health, DeSci. So we're hitting a lot of different pillars there.
Yeah. So if I would download the app and I start contributing my data, do I decide where the data is used, or is it just that you like spread it out for studies, and then if one of those studies leads to like some, or like one of those companies using it leads to some finding, they reward me, or do I decide myself?
So each individual decides. In the beginning, it's pretty much only going to be us and perhaps our partner entity, Rejuve.bio, that is the initial choices. So being a part of the Rejuve AI database is kind of the automatic one that you kind of do when you get your data NFT. Now, as our data set grows and becomes more exotic, as it's going to include not only health surveys, wearables, lab tests, but then also adding on the omics data and all that other sort of cool things, this data set may indeed be attractive to outside entities. And then that's when you can select via the data NFT dashboard whether or not you want to share it with them, and provide some details like what the study is about, who the entity is, and all of those kind of things.
So when a company uses my data, do I get more tokens automatically through that, or only if this company starts making money from my data?
Well, it's I guess highly determined on what's going on.
Yeah.
So another aspect that I kind of didn't mention yet is decentralized N-of-1 trials, and those can be run either by us or by some other. It can be sponsored by another entity in partnership or even independently. And in that case, at times we may have kind of immediate rewards for participating in a study. But then, on the other end, it is kind of based upon, that becoming some sort of patentable product or therapy of some kind, and then that's where the rest of the proceeds come from.
So elaborating a bit on the Rejuve token, it's just a way to like give value back to people providing their data, or is the data actually stored there?
So that token itself is a utility token. So yes, indeed, it is for kind of transactional purposes, and then also governance and kind of just participation in the Rejuve ecosystem. So the idea is that it's incentivizing that data contribution and healthy practices and participating in the longevity ecosystem. And then the goal is to be able to use that in exchange for actual real life products and services to enhance your health and wellness, like tests, supplements, wearables, health consultations, even travel.
So maybe more about your personal experience. So how's it like to try to build an app like this? Have you been from the beginning of the app?
Yeah, so when I started, there was a bit of a early product roadmap written by Ben Goertzel, and I pretty much had to finish it and like put it into action. And of course, it's developed and evolved and changed since then. And it's definitely been a big challenge. As you can all probably know, the app is still in beta right now, and we're leaving it open up until the launch time because of, especially ChatGPT-esque things. It's very easy for someone to just kind of generate pictures of something and go, hey, we're building this and do a crypto scam. So we have our beta open to prove that we really are building things, and we have real developers and all that kind of stuff. But there are a few key things that are very essential in order to, kind of call it done. And those are the things that we are, aggressively working on now so that we can bring it live as soon as possible and have all of the features that we feel are most important to have the MVP, pretty much, to have something that's useful at a baseline level and gets people excited and ready to start putting on data. And then we kind of, after that, subsequently roll out more and more features. So to answer the question, it was literally the beginning.
So those features you're talking about, what are those most important features that you're working on, like the key features of the MVP?
Okay. So two of them are the AI related, and one is not, but it's something that people really care about. So the latter one is wearable syncing. So it's like being able to connect all of the, the Apple Watches, the Fitbits, the Aura Rings, and all that kind of stuff, and making sure that it connects with our system accurately every single time. That will be not only used, for the actual body of data, but also people are going to be earning a little bit of, crumb rewards every day for, keeping those things syncing. So it's important that they're working reliably. And people do just like to see that the data feedback. So that's one. And then the other one, so we have a model there called biological age, which was kind of created based on, NHANES data set and, some other statistical information. And the idea there is that it's kind of a baseline, and that as we kind of can layer on, epigenetic tests and different types of data, that we're improving that model more and more and evolving it. But we want to have something there at baseline that at least makes sense. And then finally, the kind of deep underlying one is the Bayesian network, which has kind of, I think we're up to like maybe 500 different nodes of various different health data and how they connect to each other. And that's based not only on NHANES, but on a bunch of meta-analysis as well. And so that's kind of the big one that right now we have a version 1 in there that has about half of the data points that were kind of desired. And then we had to kind of add in some more and reformat to make sure that all those interconnections are correct, and then reconnect it. So that's what we're working on now.
So when I use the app, I get biological age measurement, and I also get, like, if I understand right, recommendations, or at least that's the plan for the future. How do you want to plan to do that? Like, what kind of recommendations will I get?
Yeah, so that's it's actually an interesting setup. So the recommendations we've classified in 2 different ways. One of them is based on the hallmarks of aging, and as you'll see, we had like kind of the original 9 plus another one, and now there's more. So we'll be, of course, updating with that, not immediately, but in time. And then the other side is just general health categories, like sleep, exercise, diet, all that kind of a thing. And so we show you that through 2 different lenses, and it kind of, the idea is it ranks in order what are the most kind of top thing that you can do that will influence and cascade down your across your overall health. That's kind of the way it's set up now. And a lot of it is pretty general things that people usually know, but it kind of calls more attention to it and explains in a deeper way, educationally, how that actually affects the aging process. So that's an underlining aspect of our app, is that we're trying to educate people about the science in a way that's kind of personally related to them, but not too difficult. And so then that's kind of like the baseline level that we always want to be free to everybody, is just these basic statistical insights of like what you can do, first, second, third, to improve your health. Now, as we kind of advance and get, more data types and more intricate AI systems, we want to be able to have actual personalized longevity and wellness plans that are, more tailored to the realities of your life. Like, we all know that we should exercise more, but what if you're busy and you've got this going on and that going on and blah blah blah. It's like, how do you actually incorporate that into your day to where you've actually achieved that target amount of minutes? So there's all these different things, as far as foods, supplements. Maybe some people want to be taking supplements, other people don't, all that kind of thing.
So it will be recommending foods and supplements. Just like, for example, for sleep is probably more the general advice, but for foods and supplements, will it also be personalized?
Yeah, so one of the ways they can start with that is whole genome sequencing. So we do have a partner called sequencing.com that's kind of the one right now to provide those. And from that, you can kind of get a baseline on what things are kind of most recommended and which aren't. And then, of course, if you combine that with your actual blood test and other dimensions, it can kind of tell whether or not you're skewing toward that direction where your genetics is going, or whether you're kind of steering clear from it and all that kind of a thing. So it will be kind of personalized to that dimension that's based upon that underlying level of what you're predisposed to, but then also what's actually happening in real time.
Yeah. So moving away a bit from the app and more to you, why did you decide to work in aging and longevity?
Okay, so I've always kind of been interested in that realm. I would say, well, it was an evolving journey because, when I was very young, it was more fear-based. Like, I was just like, once I found out that there was this thing called dying that was going to happen to everyone, I thought that was like so scary and terrifying, and I couldn't stop thinking about it and all that sort of stuff. And then, of course, like, as I got older, that kind of faded away. And then I started to get more into health and wellness and like, preserving my my health so that I didn't, end up this way. So then I got really into, like the supplements and natural health kind of a thing. And then when I actually went to school formally, I got into the field, I didn't want to be necessarily like, a clinician, but I wanted to be involved somehow. So that's why I chose health information management at the time. I actually wanted to do bioengineering, but it was like hard to find at the time. And so then I just got involved in that way. And then once, as mentioned earlier, I was working at this, reading and analyzing these medical records and seeing that people were just coming in, sick and usually leaving sicker or not leaving at all or leaving in a morgue, and I'm just like, this work is not actually helping anybody. Like, I'm not helping anybody to thrive, or, I can't do anything but sit here and read the record and tell the insurance company how much money they made off the stay. And that just didn't feel like something I was really passionate about. But I would say, along the health and wellness frame, that's always been something that I've been pretty passionate about throughout my life in various ways.
Yeah. So what would you say are right now in the longevity in our progress towards like maybe even solving aging? Because like I know, like especially for Ben Goertzel, this is like one of the key missions why he brought like the Rejuve network into being. What do you think are the biggest bottlenecks right now that we definitely need to solve to be able to solve aging?
So I think it's kind of this mixture of, the lack of common sense, which is kind of everywhere in every dimension of our world. As I mentioned earlier, with like, there's things that we ought to be doing and could be doing not so difficultly, but we're just not for some reason. And one of those is, the chronic disease rates being so high. Like, if everybody actually collaborated together to make our society healthier and to promote the right things, and because it's not that healthy food can't taste good. It's not that it can't be affordable or any of those sort of things. It's just that someone, created this hack where you're going to make fake food and mass produce it, to oblivion and sell it super cheap and put up, 20 franchises per street and, and we're going to call it good. And then we're going to have the pharma industry, to distribute all of the medicines that kind of suppress those symptoms and make you feel like you're okay so that you can keep on doing it. So I think that elevation, I think it's starting to happen. People are caring more about their health. They're complaining more about, the options that they're having, at their local stores and, the advice that they're getting, from their doctors and all that sort of a thing. And the fact that people are just being told, oh, okay, you've got, you've got high blood pressure, you got diabetes. The only thing you can do is take a pill for the rest of your life. Forget trying to update your lifestyle, forget any sort of way that we could possibly reverse this condition, which is possible. No, we're just going to medicate it and say that you're doomed. So that's the first one, is like the mentality stuff. And then of course it always comes down to what efforts are being funded and the research that's actually being highlighted in regards to the possibility of it. Because for so long it's been more of a mystical thing, like, we can only, everything is going to die kind of a thing. And, there is a lot of exciting, interesting research that I've been exposed to just being in the space. And I think it's just not well known enough or understood enough to really grab public attention. And that's why first the attention is going on like, biohacking and stuff like that.
Do you think so that's a wild guess, and I know like nobody knows, but like you personally, are you optimistic that we're going to solve aging in our lifetimes?
I think we're going to uncover some interesting things, whether it resolves in, resolving aging. Because there's also like a physics dimension there that we can't deny, is that like pretty much there's a few species out there that are known to like not age and things, and short of like, becoming a hydra person or lizard person or something, like we can't really just absorb their genetic material into ours. So there are like, kind of some limitations, but if some people are familiar with this concept of longevity escape velocity, which was introduced by Dr. R.B. de Grey, it's like the principle that, if we get to the point where we can rejuvenate, at least to some point in time, that it kind of buys more time to develop more advanced things. And then you get in this cycle to where you actually can start to see the gains, because as long as if we can push past like 120 and then 150 and, if we can start to get into that cadence, yes, I think that's possible in our lifetime, just based on the technological progress and exponential development that we've been seeing since the Industrial Revolution, pretty much, ever since electricity. Everything's kind of been going faster and faster. We went from like horse and buggy to like particle accelerator in 100 years. So, yeah.
What do you think is the role of network states and pop-up cities, like for example Zella City, in our progress towards solving aging?
Yeah, I think this is like a super cool thing that's happened, and even more so that it's kind of deeply tied to crypto. So I actually went to the network state conference in Singapore a couple weeks ago, which was super interesting because I didn't know how many of these were going on. I heard about Italia and then this one, but I didn't know that they were just like popping up all over the world now.
Yes.
So that's super encouraging that this idea of network state is actually happening and being real. And it really is like a transformation of society, and it represents elevation of consciousness, which is one of those key things that we need in order to solve things like aging or even begin to think about the practicality of it being a reality. Because I think in order to see something happen, we have to first believe that it can, and that's with any piece of technology or new idea or system. First, you have to be able to like see the vision in order to enact it.
Yeah. Have you ever joined a project like Singularity?
I haven't been to one yet, but okay. It's definitely a near-term goal.
What would you say is your biggest learning from working in this industry, especially from building Rejuve.ai?
Yeah, I guess like the most like interesting thing has been learning more about this like cellular and molecular aspects of the process that are, just the fact that, because even my grandmother, she was a nurse, and, she always would say, like, why don't they teach this, normally to everybody, biology, anatomy, physiology, right? Like most people don't know about this, meat machine that we're all in, don't know the specifics of it, and are relying on this external force called a doctor, who is just another person like you, to tell us about it. And so one of the powerful things about the decentralized science, DeSci movement, is that not only are we decentralizing, science to make it more transparent and ethical and all that sort of thing, but we're also decentralizing the knowledge and intelligence that comes with it, so that ordinary people on average are a lot more educated about what's going on. So I think, just the divide in, the scientific world versus the layman's when it comes to this science, it's just a very good example of it.
Yeah, it's definitely a big one. More personal, what is a thing that you're really passionate about, that you really like doing?
You mean overall?
Yes. Like if there were no constraints on your life, what do you really like to do, just personally?
Okay, well, my other interests outside of this is actually ancient civilizations and archaeology. So it's like the opposite of futurism. Yeah. So I really like going to a lot of ancient sites and, exploring, because it's mind blowing. Like the fact that we don't know what happened 2,000 years ago. Like we're still debating about it and guessing and speculating, but yet we're kind of claiming to know what happened like 6 billion years ago or something, where, we don't even know what happened 1,000 years ago, barely. 2,000 completely, so I've been to the pyramids, I've been to Göbekli Tepe, Stonehenge, all of these different things. And if you haven't been to the pyramids of Egypt and just that whole Luxor and all this stuff, it's like you look at that and you're just like, there's just no way, like what happened here. And so that's my other fascination, just figuring out like what happened back then. Did they have technology, and like were they doing a lot of the same things? And did was there a cataclysm that ended civilization that's hidden?
Yeah. Oh, I really like that. Assuming you're in perfect health, how long would you want to live?
So every time I get asked this question, I usually say 1,000 years, and that's just based upon, I think that you get to see a lot of transitions and you probably become like a guru at planet Earth in that amount of time. But that's just a generic number, because of course, if you're kind of, healthy, you don't really think of, I want to end this, unless, you really did get to the point where it's like, I've gotten everything that I want out of this physical experience, I'm ready to have another one. So I think that's the real answer, is when I feel like I've gotten everything that I wanted to get out of being human or being superhuman, or, whatever's next.
Yes. Thank you a lot, Jasmine. Do you have any last thing anything you want to share with the people listening before we end this? Enjoy
Zeller City. I'm super supportive of all of these pop-up cities that are coming up. It's becoming more and more of a thing now, and that's so awesome. Unfortunately, I can't make this one, but I'm definitely going to be involved in more of these next year. And check out Rejuve.ai. Get in touch with us and follow us on all of our various channels. It's all there.
So this was my conversation with Jasmine Smith. As always, links are in the description, and on my channel there are way more interviews with people working on trying to solve aging. Here's one. Bye bye.